Ayatollah Khamenei tweeted almost every day, "Death to Israel."
Whom should we surrender to? Iran is not a nation to surrender.
You don't know. I may do it. I may not do it. I mean, nobody knows what I'm going to do.
The Iran-Israel war has now entered the 9th day, both countries launching fresh attacks on each other. Here's a look at all the latest developments. Iran launched a fresh salvo of missiles at Israel. Iranian missiles were intercepted in the skies over Tel Aviv. Meanwhile, the Israeli military announced that it launched a new wave of attacks against missile storage and launch infrastructure in central Iran. This comes after Israel said that Iran launched new airstrikes in central parts of Israel, including Modi'in and Tel Aviv. Israeli media says a fire has been reported at an apartment in central Israel, apparently as a result of being hit by missile parts following an interception. Amidst the escalating conflict, US President Donald Trump has warned Iran that it has a maximum of 2 weeks to avoid possible US strikes. Trump's comments come a day after he said that he would make a decision within a fortnight on whether to take military action against Iran.
Does Iran have 2 weeks, or could you strike before that? Are you essentially giving them a 2-week timeline?
I'm giving them a period of time. We're going to see what that period of time is, but I'm giving them a period of time, and I would say 2 weeks would be the maximum.
Meanwhile, after a day of nuclear talks in Geneva, Iranian Foreign Minister Abbas Araghchi has said that Iran is ready to consider diplomacy once again, adding that Tehran would reconsider nuclear negotiations with Washington after Israel stops its aggression on Iran.
Iran is ready to consider diplomacy once again, and once the aggression is stopped and the aggressor is held accountable for the crimes committed. In this regard, I made it crystal clear that Iran's defense capabilities are not negotiable.
However, US President Donald Trump expressed skepticism about the talks. Speaking to reporters, Trump said that the European powers won't be able to help end the Iran-Israel war.
Did the Europeans help at all in talking with the Iranians?
No, they didn't help. No. Iran doesn't want to speak to Europe. They want to speak to us. Europe is not going to be able to help in this.
Meanwhile, Israel's Foreign Minister Gideon Sa'ar has said that IDF strikes on Iran have delayed Tehran's potential to develop a nuclear weapon by at least 2 or 3 years. However, the International Atomic Energy Agency chief Rafael Grossi, in his latest interview to Fox News, has said that Iran currently possesses enough nuclear material for several warheads, but stressed this should not be equated with a nuclear weapon.
In terms of the material, I have said in my reports, we have confirmed that Iran does have, even now, enough material for several warheads. But this should not be equated with a nuclear weapon. We do not have, at this point, if you ask me, at this point, any tangible proof that there is a program or a plan to fabricate, to manufacture a nuclear weapon. There are different scattered activities here and there is the material.
Furthermore, amidst reports about Israel seeking bunker busters to take out Iran's Fordo nuclear facility, US President Donald Trump has said that Israel has limited capability and capacity to strike and destroy Iran's underground nuclear sites, adding that it won't be necessary.
Prime Minister Netanyahu said that they had the capacity to take out all of Iran's nuclear facilities. So what role would the U.S. be able to play, and why would they, if Israel says that they have all of the abilities, their own military?
I'm not sure he said that, but they really have a very limited capacity. They could break through a little section, but they can't go down very deep. They don't have that capacity, and we'll have to see what happens. Maybe it won't be necessary. Maybe it won't be necessary.
For more on this, Dr. Avner Cohen, Professor of Non-Proliferation and Terrorism Studies, Middlebury Institute, joins us on the broadcast from Monterey, California. Thank you so much for joining us on Beyond World is One. I want to begin by asking you what your assessment at the moment is of the current situation in West Asia.
Well, the current situation with the ninth day, as you just mentioned, is that it's becoming more and more towards attrition war. There is no question that Israel has dominated this struggle in the first few days. Dominance in the air, dominance in terms of intelligence. Israel is not built towards a long struggle, towards a long fight, towards a long war with a country 2,000 kilometers away from itself. Israel needs to consolidate what he did into some kind of agreement, into some kind of a way that would make its so far victory into fact in terms of stopping Iran. I do not see a situation right now. The United States stay somewhat off the whole thing in order to make that kind of diplomatic agreement, and that's a real concern. The factor of time works a different way. For Israel, there are by now diminishing returns. For the Iran, it may give them time because Iran is a large country and it can handle itself as the time goes.
Right, and I also want to bring your attention to the statement that has come out by the Director General of the International Atomic Energy Agency, Rafael Grossi. He is saying that we do not have at this point, if you ask me, at this point, any tangible proof that there is a program or a plan to fabricate or to manufacture a nuclear weapon. There are different scattered activities here and there, and there is the material. And of course, we know that Benjamin Netanyahu has been saying this for the past 25, 30 years, that Iran is months away from a nuclear weapon, weeks away from a nuclear weapon. We've been hearing this again and again. And then on the other hand, we see the DG of the IAEA making a very clear distinction. Why do you think he would feel pushed to do that? Do you think the existential war that Israel talks about and the perceived nuclear threat, do you think that warranted the preemptive strikes that Israel carried out in Operation Rising Lion?
That's a very, very subtle question. I believe that Iran has moved itself. I think the whole issue between Iran and the world was not about the bomb, but rather about the proximity to the bomb. I think Iran has been doing some activities that were designed to lead her to be much more with proximity to the bomb. In other words, to keep it weeks away and possibly even days away from the decision to make a test or the decision to show some kind of demonstration. Some kind of demonstration or a test does not mean that Iran has a weapon. The distance to a weapon is a significant one, let alone the ability to put it safely on the missiles. But it's clear that without an agreement, and under Trump, as he left in his first time from the JCPOA, Iran moved further and further away towards the bomb. I think it was doing it cautiously, incrementally, and there is a visible way to notice, even if there was no formal decision from the supreme leader, and I don't think there was a formal decision from the supreme leader in Iran to build the bomb, to finalize, to assemble the bomb. But I think they were moving to position themselves much closer to the bomb in 2024, 25 than they were before. I think they were weeks away. That's my sense.
Dr. Cohen, please stay on with us. We have some big developments that are coming in from West Asia at the moment as well. In the Iran-Israel war, Iranian media reports explosions in the city of Isfahan, where the Islamic Republic has a key nuclear facility. Isfahan is home to a number of important military facilities, including nuclear facilities, a major air base, and factories associated with Iranian drone and other military production. This is the latest that we're getting right now. Also, the IDF says that fighter jets struck ahead of IRGC's drone unit a week after killing his predecessor. In a post on X, the IDF says it eliminated the commander of the 2nd Unmanned Aerial Vehicle Unit in the Revolutionary Guards Air Force. So this is the latest that we're getting from the region at the moment. That the Islamic Republic Isfahan is home to the number of important facilities here. Explosions in the city of Isfahan, where the Islamic Republic has a key nuclear facility. Dr. Cohen, I just want to come back to you on that. We also heard Donald Trump say earlier that Israel, in fact, has limited capabilities to strike these nuclear facilities. And now we're hearing of these latest attacks in Isfahan that are coming in. Now, just from what Trump is saying and where Israel stands at the moment, do you see some sort of a gap there between the versions that we're getting from both sides?
Well, I think that it is clear that Israel has, in some area, amazing capacities on the military side and in the intelligence side. There is no questions about that. And it's surprised a lot of observers how accurate, how timely, and how effective is the Israeli intelligence. At the same time, there are certain things that Israel cannot do. For example, the important key facility in Fordo, dug and fortified into the mountain, I think Israel cannot destroy it. It's not even obvious that the United States can destroy it. I also think that the importance of this facility is less once there has been that kind of damage to the overall program. I think, again, there is a failure of diplomacy right now. I mean, the two sides are fighting for 9 days. The Israeli desire is to consolidate into some kind of agreement that would end the kinetic war and would make it something more lasting. And it seems that the United States even stand off, not just from active support of Israel, but even in an effort to try to broke a deal. And I think at the same time, Iran demands that any kind of conversation could happen only when Israel stops fighting. So we are in a very precarious situation. And Iran, I think, has more time, even though it suffered so much damage so far.
Precarious situation indeed, sir. Iran's Foreign Minister Abbas Araghchi did express skepticism about whether Tehran can trust the United States in diplomatic talks. He said this in an interview with the NBC News, accusing Washington of using the talks as cover for Israeli attack on Iran. You mentioned that this is a failure of diplomacy, and from what we're hearing from Abbas Araghchi, there is a complete absence of trust, and that, of course, is going to be a hindrance to get Iran back on the negotiating table. That being said, when Israel launched its preemptive strikes, Operation Rising Lion, do you see that as a failure of deterrence?
Deterrence of whose side?
From Israel's side, a deterrence for Iran.
I think Iran did not change its decision to have a nuclear weapon, in other words, to assemble a nuclear weapon. Iran moved slowly to position itself closer to the bomb. This is a subtle but important nuance that people do not fully understand. Iran did not think that Israel would attack, but at the same time, when Israel attacked, it had to have some kind of plan how to bring it to the end, because Israel cannot do it for that long. So once the United States is not part of that, you need two for tango in order to bring something to an end, in order to bring hostilities. And right now, Iran, despite all those losses so far, is quite stubborn, and it can allow itself to be stubborn and not to agree to have any kind of... I think the issue is what would be the United States reaction, and so far, it's really standoff, looking what's going on, and not even trying to broker something on the diplomatic level.
Right, Dr. Cohen, that's exactly what led me to ask this question, because if Israel's objective was to dismantle the nuclear program, that of course doesn't happen. As you mentioned, Iran is now stubborn, and that's the position we are in right now. Of course, when it comes to the United States and its military involvement, Donald Trump has said that he'll decide perhaps in 2 weeks whether or not he knows what he will do going forward. That, of course, remains to be seen as well. But that being said, Dr. Cohen, thank you so much for joining us on Beyond World is One with your insights on this.
My pleasure. Thank you.